We're going to be talking about fulfillment, trust, and growth. And to do that, I have with me Mark Johnson.
Oh, yes, that's me. Mark Greene, Parcel Planet, co-founder, CEO. So we help brands scale in the UK and Ireland. We have two sites, Dublin and Birmingham, and we focus on less clients, more volume, similar to the Perfume Shop. Good segue.
Great segue. Sean?
Hi, I'm Sean Wallis. I'm Supply Chain Director at the Perfume Shop. Probably the best perfume retailer in the UK, but then I would say that, wouldn't I? So,
Tell him. Sean, can you give the audience a sense of the scale of the Perfume Shop's DTC operation and why getting fulfillment right matters so much?
yeah, sure. So, fulfillment is at the heart of our brand delivery. We process thousands of orders every single day. We offer a high level of personalisation, so customers can choose to have their product engraved, gift wrapped, or personalised ribbon, amongst other things. So every order is unique in its own right, and regardless of the volume, the challenge for our fulfillment provider is that every order has to feel special for the customer when they receive it.
And then, Mark, Parcel Planet operate as a partnership, which I think is super important when you're working with brands, rather than being transactional. Where did that philosophy come from, and how do you protect it as you scale?
So it probably comes from the fact of when my fulfillment broke. So before Parcel Planet, so this is the third business. I've exited two. The third business is Parcel Planet. The reason Parcel Planet existed was because in a former life, it was a distribution business. We'd expanded into the UK. As you can tell, I'm not local. Anyone guess where I'm from? Very good. It's Jamaica. So when we expanded into the UK, we obviously needed to put stock on the ground. We did, and that's when it all broke. The operation completely fell apart. And the particular industry we were in, you needed a very high service delivery, which meant that we had to give a 6 p.m. next same day cutoff, and it had to be delivered next day, sometimes through the night. What had happened was our SLA had slipped by about 20%. So the business that we had built up coming in was now falling apart, and the amount of business we were gaining was going out the other end. So I suppose that was really why it happened. What happened for me and why I feel it went wrong was that the provider at the time just didn't provide us with the care and attention. And really it was down to the fact of getting bodies through the doors of fulfillment center. And really that's where Parcel Planet started, was actually, I want less clients and I want more volume. The reason for less clients is we can give the client the correct attention. Like Sean had said, the Perfume Shop has very bespoke aspects. And I think that's key to help a brand grow, to retain the integrity of what they're doing and not try to just fit them in a one size all fits all box. So I suppose that's what we've tried to do, but then retaining it, it really just comes down to the one thing, and myself and Sean were just talking about it previously. It's people. For us, I know we're in an age of AI and we think we can get rid of people. People are here to stay, but for me, it's always been around getting the right people in the right seat on the bus. And that is bloody hard. It really is. But when you discover it's the wrong seat, you need to move because it's what the business needs. And I think that's one thing that I've prioritized as the business, is getting those people that have the same value. They want to give a great customer service. This customer's at the focus, because they understand that if our customer is successful, we're successful. We grow in synergy. Long way around.
Sure. When you were evaluating fulfillment partners, what were the non-negotiables, and what does the market get wrong about what brands actually need from a 3PL?
Well, I think I'll start on the end on that one, because I think what the market often gets wrong is to focus too much on price. Interesting hearing the conversation earlier about Trustpilot. When we focused on price, our brand took an absolute drubbing. Our Trustpilot score fell, and it cost our business a lot on the back of that. So I think for me, it's about getting a trusted partner. It's about having the trust in place from the outset. So we partner with Parcel Planet in Ireland. Initially, we used to ship all of that from the UK, but Brexit made life much more difficult for us. We thought we can do distribution ourselves. So initially, we set up our own operation, but that proved to be quite costly. At the same time, I was introduced to Parcel Planet. And I think for me, it's about building the chemistry first and foremost. I mean, data points are great, but ultimately your gut feel and building that trust over time is important. And we built that over time with Parcel Planet. They took the time out to look at our brand, to visit our stores, to understand about our business. They took a real interest in our business. So I think trust is the main one.
Definitely. I'm about to mention BFCM, and I don't know if it's been mentioned today, which is a first because normally we talk about it all day. But Mark, so how do you prepare for peak trading with a client like the Perfume Shop and Sean? And what does that planning process actually look like in times like BFCM, Christmas?
Really, it's going back to what you said earlier on. It's the partnership. So we obviously have a plan. Majority of 3PLs will plan from probably July onwards, but with all our clients, we'll obviously ask for a forecast right throughout the year, and obviously they are never set in stone. It's simply a forecast. You are looking into the future realistically, but it's with some good data behind you. But we start in July and we engage with the client. And as we grow, coming into peak, those meetings that we will engage with the client will become more frequent. What we apply is our historical data from the client, using now a lot of tools around AI, but also what the client is telling us. So we don't just rely on one data source. It's certainly from the historical data, what we've also seen from the client historically, but also then what the client is telling us. And it's very much about those forecast figures. But having a weekly consultation with the client, particularly through peak, because what can happen, as we've seen with peak, suddenly something is actually setting on fire and it's running like wildfire, and we need to be able to respond to that. And that happens frequently in peak, but the communication is key, and that comes from the partnership. So it's really keeping those communication lines. Like everyone, we have a plan, we have a strategy that's set out that runs through, but it's also the main focus for us is communication. That's just key.
Definitely. And following on from talking about peak, Sean, obviously you're tested during that time. Can you talk about a moment of real pressure and what it taught you about working with Parcel Planet?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, we're a highly giftable retailer. Perfume is highly giftable. So, Christmas is hugely important for us. That makes or breaks our year. When we first partnered with Parcel Planet, we got to Black Friday and volumes just started to accelerate, and they were way in excess of our expectations and the forecast that we'd shared with these guys. So the order well started to build, and as we went into December, the order well was building and building and building. And to state the obvious, the delivery window pre-Christmas was getting smaller and smaller. Because we hadn't worked with these guys over a peak, I was getting more and more nervous. I was sweating, profusely. And what we decided to do is we decided to bring forward our Christmas cutoff. The reason we did that primarily because perhaps I didn't have the trust at that point in time to know that these guys could cope with the volume. Within days, the order well had been cleared, and I sat there thinking about what might have been, what more could we have sold, what other customers could we have satisfied. So I guess the learning for that we took into last year and last year's peak is that our cut-off for Christmas was at the last possible moment, because I had absolute trust that these guys could deliver for us, and they did, which is great.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing sometimes, isn't it? Mark, so what is the question brands almost never ask during partner selection that they should be asking in that process?
What should they be asking? I suppose. What should they be asking? Really, I
shouldn't.
suppose it's actually the typical questions come up. It's the usual. How much is what's the price? It's a case of storage, pick, pack. They're all the basics that come out. But what probably I see that makes a massive impact now, because when you look at this industry now, as it is with other industries, but particularly logistics, it's been highly impacted by robotics and automation. And Sean will testify to this. They put in a significant amount and made a substantial difference. Businesses like ours, we need to be ahead of that. We need to be taking advantage of that because it will become a threat. And for that reason, I would be asking, what is your 2 to 3 year strategic plan? And let me see the tactical implementation of that. Because if it doesn't include the likes of robotics and automation, what is simply going to happen is you're going to move provider because the cost to serve is going to drop. And that's just a reality. I think we've THG in the audience as well. Highly automated, great facility in that sense. But on the other side, then you've got AI. So we have a new agent in our customer service team. Great Irish name, Orla Murphy. And Orla does 75% of our tickets now. Majority of it is Wizmo, where's my order? And we've refined that over time, but that's the kind of development that you need to be seeing from your fulfillment partner, because if it doesn't include that, it doesn't include opportunities as well then to be an omni-channel as well, because they have to have the integrations. They have to be dealing with the likes of the big retailers, the big B2B distribution channels, because DTC brands can't just live in the e-com space. They have to expand out their channel, as we're seeing with the majority of successful brands that we're dealing with.
Definitely. And to finish off, Sean, what does the next chapter look like for the Perfume Shop, and what role does your fulfillment partner play in getting you there?
Well, I listened with interest then, and I've got lots of witnesses here today about the cost to serve reducing. So I'll put that one in my back pocket for another day, Mark.
It's on film as well.
I think we've said a 3-year agreement, haven't we?
But yeah, the future for us is we've got huge ambition in terms of our growth plans, both in our stores, but also online as well. And for me, I mean, we talk a little bit about, customer service provider relationship, but I think Mark hit the nail on the head. This is about partnership. So it's about ensuring that our partners have the room for growth in line with our own ambitions, and absolutely Parcel Planet are well placed to do that. And I think alongside that, it's about giving that customer experience, because ultimately these guys are an extension of our brand. When one of our customers receives one of our products, it's fulfilled by Parcel Planet, but of course they're retailing, they're shopping with the Perfume Shop. So we have to be absolutely certain that our brand is in safe hands. And I'm pleased to say that with Parcel Planet it is.
Fabulous. Well, thank you guys so much. And I think it is important, isn't it? Like, a lot of the time, I think a 3PL scares brands, and it's important. Well, once you're ready, it helps you scale.
Yeah, I think Andy mentioned it earlier on. You two entrepreneurs. You really need to be that entrepreneur that actually, if you decided to scale, you need to bring in experts. And that, I think, is the difference between growth and scaling. I was at a recent conference, and it was really, the penny is dropping around scaling, in the sense of you bring in experts. So it's the likes of your accounts. You outsource it to an accountant. It's the same with fulfillment. So you can really focus on growing the brand. And that's what happened to us. We didn't choose the right fulfillment partner. We couldn't grow, hence why Parcel Planet. But it's really deciding that you do want to commit. And it's tough. Giving away something that you, as Sean said, it's about trust. And it took 12 months, and we've been talking 2 years before that, but it had taken 12 months to build that trust. But I think now I'll ask my ops director to say, look, any feedback from clients? And they said no. And that's the best feedback I can get, because if we're not in the conversation with our clients in the sense of there's nothing going wrong, the business is smooth, there's no phone calls inbound, everything is running beautifully.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.